guys, welcome to Yoga with Liz. We have a special guest today, Ciara.
Hi.
And she will be modifying things so you can follow either one of us. We will go ahead and get started standing, bringing our hearts to center.
This is my first time yoga.
And then just find your breath, rotate your hips under, elongating the spine, starting to feel the energy throughout your whole body. Thanking yourself for bringing your body and your mind to your practice and your mat today. On your next inhale, reach your arms overhead. Exhale back to heart center. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. This time as you exhale, forward fold. Keeping the thighs active, lifting up through the kneecaps. You can bring the hands to the mat or your shins, or maybe even wrap your hands around your calves. Just finding a really deep fold this morning. On your next inhale, halfway lift, plant the hands on the mat or on your shins, lengthening through the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise to stand, arms come overhead. Exhale, back to heart center. Starting off with this half sun salutation. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, find length. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise to stand, arms come overhead. Exhale, back through to heart center. One more here. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach up, arms overhead. Exhale, back through to heart center. This time, forward fold. And start to walk the hands out into your downward dog. Just finding the length of your dog that feels good. First downward dog of the day. Stretching out the back body. Maybe come up on the toes and then really sink the heels low. Just going back and forth a couple times, lifting and lowering, getting some movement in the ankles, stretching out the calves, just doing whatever feels good in your body. Then maybe drop a shoulder in, really bend into a knee, right shoulder, left knee, and then switch. Now working into the side body, working into the shoulders, having a really active warm-up. And then find stillness with your heels lowered and shift forward to your high plank. Lower all the way to the mat, and then tuck the tops of the feet on the mat, keeping the elbows into the body as you inhale, press up, baby or king cobra. Lifting through the chest. Exhale, release back down. Push through the hands and come back to a child's pose. You can bring the knees as wide as the mat or keep them together. Spending a couple breaths here. Centering your mind and body for the rest of your practice. Maybe setting an intention for your practice today. Allowing yourself the stillness and the awareness. On your next inhale, shift forward to tabletop. And then tuck your toes under and push back into your downward dog. Slowly walk the feet to meet the hands at the top of your mat. And forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise to stand, arms come overhead. Exhale, back through to heart center. Coming into our sun salutations. Reach the arms back overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Starting to speed it up a little bit. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back to your high plank. Exhale, lower to chaturanga, keeping the elbows in. And then make your way through to upward facing dog. Keeping the thighs lifted, tops of the feet on the mat. Exhale, send it back, downward facing dog. Really push the hips back. Slowly walk the feet to meet the hands. Really stretching out the backs of the legs. Inhale, halfway lift, find length in the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise to stand, arms come overhead. Exhale, back to heart center. Inhale, root to rise, arms come up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back, high plank. Lower to chaturanga or to the mat. Inhale through to upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, send it back, downward facing dog. Take 2 deep breaths here. Always using our downward dogs or child's pose to recenter our body in between flows. And just whenever you need to, you can feel free to drop to child's pose. On your next inhale, look forward, bend the knees, and step or float to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, find length. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise to stand, arms come overhead. Exhale, back through to heart center. This time as you inhale, sit deep into the hips, making sure you can still see your big toes. You can bring your feet into shoulder width apart, or you can bring the big toes to touch with your heels slightly apart. Really lengthen down through the tailbone, finding that deeper pelvic bowl here. Sit the hips down a little bit deeper, find that really deep chair pose, getting the legs nice and active. And as you exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step or float back to your chaturanga. Inhale through to upward facing dog. Exhale, back to downward dog. Reach the right leg back into your 3-legged dog. And step the right foot between the hands, turning the left foot out. Coming up into warrior 1. So turning the left hip forward, the right hip back, kind of squaring off the hips. And exhale, right back down into your high plank. Back to chaturanga, through to upward facing dog, and back to downward dog. Reach the left foot behind you into 3-legged dog, and step the left foot through the hands, turn the right toes out, come up for warrior 1 on the left. Exhale, right back down into your high plank. Float through your vinyasa, eating in downward dog. Taking 2 deep breaths here, really feeling warm now. Getting the energy going throughout your whole body. Ready to continue our flow. On your next inhale, bend the knees. Step or float to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise to stand, arms come overhead. And as you exhale, sit back into your chair pose. Again, round the tailbone under, creating that deeper pelvic bowl. And as you exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, find length. Exhale, step or float back to your chaturanga. Inhale, up to upward facing dog. Exhale, back to downward dog. Right away, lift that right leg back into your 3-legged dog. And step it through the hands, turn the left toes out, come up for warrior 1. Exhale, right back down to your high plank, through chaturanga, back to upward facing dog, and back to downward dog. Right away, lift the left foot back, step it through the hands, turn the right toes out, come up to warrior 1 on the left. Exhale, right back down, come into your high plank, chaturanga, through to upward facing dog, back to downward dog. Take 2 deep breaths here. Recenter your body, recenter your mind. And on your next inhale, look forward, bend the knees. Step or float to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise to stand, arms come overhead. And exhale, sit back into chair pose. From here, bring the hands to heart center. And then take the left elbow over to the right knee. Finding a gentle twist here. Using the elbow to push against your knee and really opening up the chest. Finding your breath here. Sitting the hips a little deeper. And come back through to center. Take it over to the other side. Really using that right elbow to help open up the chest and rotate through the spine. Come back to center. And exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant the hands, step or float back to your chaturanga. Come through to upward facing dog. And back to downward dog. From here, come up really high on the toes or balls of the feet. Then turn the feet over to the right. So the left leg will be a lot straighter. You can bend deep into that right knee. Then really push the hips back. So still kind of in a downward dog variation. Stretching out the outer left hip, maybe even the IT band. Now on your next inhale, start to bring the right knee forward, coming into a side plank, and take the left arm up overhead. You can choose to stay in a side plank or challenge yourself and take this part of your practice today. Then start to straighten out that right leg in front, bringing it to a hover. So reaching up through the left hand, and then take the right knee to the right tricep. Exhale back. Inhale, right knee to right tricep. Exhale back. Inhale, right knee to right tricep. And back. 2 more. Knee to tricep. Back. Knee to tricep. Really squeeze it up. Exhale back. This time take that right knee forward and step the right foot down. Take the left hand planted by the right foot and twist the right arm up into a gentle twisted lunge. Really rotating through the spine, finding movement throughout the whole body. And take the right hand down, plant the left knee down, reach both arms up for a low lunge. Really reaching the right hip forward, switching out the left quad. Using your low lunge to really feel areas of tightness in your body or where you're holding tension, maybe even relax the shoulders down, soften through the upper body. Then plant the hands down, engage that left knee, firing up the whole left leg, reach up for crescent lunge. Finding more active energy throughout the legs, setting the hips low. Whole body's really engaged here. Then turn the left toes towards the long side of your mat. Cartwheel the arms open for warrior 2. Bending deep into that right knee. And you can even take your hands to your hips and just kind of adjust your hips here, making sure that your hips are level on both sides. Exhale, reverse your warrior, taking the left hand down the back of the leg or taking that half bind, reaching the right arm overhead, stretching out your side body. Using the obliques to help control your movement here. Making your way back to warrior 2. Starting to come light into the left foot, really firing up that right leg. Pushing through the right leg, coming into half moon pose. The right fingertips can be on the ground. Really flexing through the left foot. Starting to lift the left leg higher and higher. Maybe shift the gaze down or shift the gaze up. You can even start to challenge your balance and come light onto the right fingertips. You can bring that right hand to the heart. Yeah, not me. And step back to warrior 2. Exhale, reverse your warrior. Come back to warrior 2. Stepping back into our half moon, fire up that right leg. Come light onto the right fingertips. Really lift the left leg high. Flexing through the left foot. Really opening up the left hip. Opening up the chest. Lots of energy here. And start to bend deep into that right knee. Step back into your warrior 2. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, reverse your warrior. Come back to warrior 2. Fire up that right leg. Come back to half moon. Last time here. Maybe come light onto the right fingertips. Bring the right hand and place it back down on the mat. Then bring the left hand down and square off the hips. Really turn the left hip down. Find your standing L-shaped pose. Toes are still flexed down towards the mat. And then from here, step back into your crescent lunge. Right leg feeling really active. Using the left leg to help support, staying strong throughout the whole body. And as you exhale, plant the hands, step back to your downward dog. You can always take child's pose here if you'd like. Just noticing how one side of the body feels compared to the other. Preparing the heart and the mind for the other side, taking it as we haven't done a side before. Not having any expectations for the left side. Just being prepared for the openness that our practice allows us. Taking the toes up, and then come over to the left side. This time bending deep into the left knee, stretching out the right hip. Pulling back into your downward dog. So keeping the right leg straight, the left knee bent. Yeah. And on your next inhale, start to bring the left knee forward. Come light onto the right hand. Maybe lift the right hand up. You can choose to stay in side plank here or keep both hands down. And then take the left foot in front of the right, bringing it to a hover. As you exhale, take the left knee to the left tricep. Inhale, bring it back to the hover. Exhale, back to the tricep. Come back to hover. 3 more here. Knee to tricep and back. Knee to tricep and back. Last one, knee to tricep and back. This time, as you step the left foot forward, you can even use the hand to help guide that left foot. And then place the right hand down on the mat, reach the left arm up, come up for a twist. Really letting the spine rotate, the chest come open. Reaching all the way through the left fingers. And then place the left hand down, place the right knee down, and come up for a low lunge on the other side. Really send that left hip forward, stretch out the right quad. Enjoy this moment of stillness. And place the hands down on either side of the foot, power up that right leg, lifting the knee up. And as you inhale, reach up for crescent lunge. Bending deep into that left knee. Supporting the whole body throughout the right leg. Stay nice and strong through our foundation. As you exhale, open up to Warrior 2, turning the right toes along the long side of the mat. Opening the arms up. And then maybe take the hands to adjust the hips, making sure that they're level. And keeping the left knee over the second and third toe. Deep inhale through the nose. And exhale, reverse your warrior, taking the left arm overhead, the right arm into that half bind or just down the leg. And come back to warrior 2. Fire up that left leg, step through into your half moon pose. Reaching through the left hand, really opening up through the right hip. You can always use a block here. Knowing that if you fall out of the pose, you're just challenging your balance, growing in your practice, expanding your practice. And starting to bend deep into that left knee, step back into our warrior 2. As you exhale, reverse your warrior, taking the left arm overhead. Right arm comes into that half bind or down your leg. And come back to warrior 2. Fire up through that left leg, step through to half moon. Opening through that right hip. And maybe you come a little bit lighter on the left fingertips. Or bring the left hand towards the heart. Then bend deep into the left knee. Step back into warrior 2. As you exhale, reverse your warrior. Stretching out through the side body. Lifting through the left arm. Making your way back through warrior 2. Last half moon here, fire up that left leg. Open through the right hip, lift the right leg a little higher. Maybe come light onto the left fingertips. And then bring both hands down to the mat, square off the hips, turn the right hip down. Coming into standing L-shaped pose. One breath here. And as you exhale, step the right foot behind you, reach back up into crescent lunge. Again, finding that strong foundation throughout our legs, then lifting up through the upper body. Yet still softening through the shoulders. Deep inhale through the nose. And as you exhale, plant the hands down, step the left foot back into your downward dog. Starting to flow through your vinyasa, or just find child's pose or stay in downward dog, shifting forward to high plank. Exhale, lower to chaturanga, through to upward facing dog, and back to downward dog. From here, turn the feet over to the right again, bending deeper into the right knee. And starting to come light onto the left fingertips, bringing that right knee forward again. From here, outstretching that right leg, or you can keep it bent, just playing with our practice today. Really lift up through that right leg. And then starting to shift into a two-pointed plank, bend deep into that right knee. And slowly start to shift back to center. Lots of body awareness here. Holding here. It's okay if you fall, or maybe you take the left hands down. And then plant the right hand, or the left hand down, swing the right leg back into your three-legged dog. Really drop that left heel low, then open up through the right hip, bending deep into that right knee. Maybe opening up to the side. And then step the right foot forward onto the outside of both hands. Turn the left toes along the long side of the mat. Reach the left arm up into extended side angle. Spending a couple breaths here, stretching out that right hip. Then from here, coming back to our lizard pose, our lizard lunge, keeping the left leg lifted, or you can choose to take the left knee to the mat. From here, coming into Skandasana, turning the right toes kind of towards the corner of your mat, bending deep into that left heel, lengthening through the left leg, bending deep into the right knee. Hands can stay in front of you or to heart center. Making sure that the right heel stays on the ground. And if it seems to be lifting, just come up a little bit higher. Still stretching deep into the hips, just protecting our knee with our foot flat on the ground. From here, really push up over into the legs. Coming up into a triangle prep. Shifting the hips back, really reaching forward, and then dropping the right hand down, lifting up through the left, coming into triangle pose or Trikonasana. Opening up all the way through the spine, rotating through the shoulders, and lengthening through the legs. From here, coming into revolve triangle, taking the left hand down to the mat, maybe stepping that left foot in just a little bit, planting the left hand down and twist the right arm up. So the right knee is straight. Yeah. Really twisting into that outer hip, the IT band.
I don't know about straight.
Working the knee to straight, or maybe step that foot in a little bit more. Again, a block can be good for your practice here. Using what you have. Yes. Yeah. Meeting your body where it's at, making adjustments as needed. And coming back through to Trikonasana triangle pose. And then bending deep into that right knee, back into our extended side angle, taking the left arm overhead. Take the left hand down into our lizard pose, and swing the right leg back into high plank. Holding here, really pushing the weight out of the toes, pulling up through the core. Sending all of our energy towards the center of the body. One more breath here. And as you exhale, lower to chaturanga. Make your way through to upward facing dog. Exhale back to downward dog. As you inhale, come high up on the toes. Exhale over to the left side. Bending into the left knee, straightening the right leg. As you come forward on your inhale, bring the left knee forward. Come light onto the right hand. And then maybe start to straighten out the left leg. Or you can keep that knee bent. Almost bringing it straight out in front of you. Really lift up. And then start to bend into the left knee, coming through to our two-pointed plank. Slowly rotating back towards center. Lots of mind-body awareness here. Holding, holding. And plant the right hand down. Swing the left leg back to your three-legged dog. As you step forward, take the left foot on the outside of both hands, coming into your lizard lunge. Very active lizard lunge as you keep the right leg lifted. And then turn the right toes, almost like your warrior two stance. Lift the right arm up into extended side angle. Stretching out that left hip, maybe even pushing your elbow against the left knee. And firing up through the legs, coming back into Skandasana. Bending deep into that right leg, lengthening through the left. Spending some time at the back of our mat. And then turn back to lizard, bringing the hands on the inside of the foot. Holding in your lizard. And then swing back to high plank. Lifting up through the core. Couple breaths here, coming light onto the toes. Pulling the scapula, the back of the shoulder blades apart. Then exhale to chaturanga. Inhale through to upward facing dog. Exhale, send it back downward dog. From here, slowly walk your feet to meet your hands. And find a deep forward fold at the back of your mat. From here, turn the toes along the long side of your mat, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. You can bring the hands to the ankles or maybe peace fingers to big toe. And just gently pull against here. Spending a little time in stillness. Then turning the left toes along the short side of your mat, turn the right toes at that angle, come into Trikonasana. Making sure we get both sides. Got too excited for the planks, forgot to do it on the left. And then bring the right hand down, maybe step that right foot in, coming into our revolved triangle. Lifting up through the left hand. Really stretching out that left hip, even down into the left hamstring. Using a blocker or prop as needed. Just using whatever is available to you. For us, it's a foam roller. This side I do better. And then bring the left hand back down, open up to Trikonasana. And then plant the right hand down, turn the toes alongside the wide leg of your mat again. Coming into our wide-legged forward fold. Taking the hands wherever it feels good. And then turn the right toes forward. We'll just do triangle on both sides again. Inhale, reach the left arm up. Straightening through the legs, rotating the spine. And then bring the left hand down, step the left foot in, come up for revolved triangle. Being aware of how each side feels, going into it with openness, with no expectations for both sides. And come back to triangle pose one last time. Then plant the left hand down, turn the toes into our wide-legged forward fold. And from here, if you'd like to do any headstands, if that is in your practice, you can choose to do so. Scooting back onto your mat. Then start to bend into the elbows, letting your head come forward. And you can choose to stay in wide-legged forward fold, or you can start to lift up through the legs, keeping the hands in eyesight, spreading the legs wide, or coming up to center. Again, lots of mind-body awareness. And just knowing that you can do a little prep there, just like Ciara is doing, preparing the body for these inversions, just spending some time being aware of where the hands are in relation to your head. It's starting to shift the weight. Spending some time almost in a tripod. We're starting to shift and come up. And knowing that someone is there to help you and can help assist. Being aware of where your body is. And slowly coming back down from there. And making the way,
I almost had it.
making your way to the top of the mat, finding your forward fold. Just releasing any tension from the spine, maybe shifting the weight back and forth throughout the shoulders and the hips. As you inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back to high plank, coming through our vinyasa here, meeting in downward facing dog, or child's pose if you choose. And we spent some time here last week in crow pose, so we'll revisit that again, just playing around in our practice today, slowly walking the feet forward, taking a different approach than last time. This one is really good if you have longer legs. Bending into the knees, starting to bend into the elbows at the same time. Taking the knees to the triceps, and again, maybe staying here, just shifting the weight back and forth. We're starting to come light on the toes, coming over your wrists. Shifting the gaze forward, really lifting up through the core. And coming back to your forward fold as you need. Just spending a few breaths here, playing around with crow, bending into the elbows, bending into the knees, then let the knees come over the triceps, and slowly shift the weight forward. You can choose to be at any point of this prep, or maybe just here, getting used to the body being crouched over, or maybe you bring the big toes together, and you can shift back to your chaturanga from crow. We'll do one more here. Coming back to your standing forward fold, legs as shoulder width apart, bending deep into the elbows, deep into the knees, and shifting the weight over. Bringing the big toes to touch. And then coming back to your standing forward fold, or making your way down to chaturanga. Coming through to high plank, chaturanga, and then upward facing dog, back to downward facing dog. Taking 2 deep breaths here. And then bringing your feet over through to cross, going into seated. And then taking the legs out long. Starting to slow down our practice today. Inhale, reach the arms up, flexing through the toes, fold forward for Paschimottanasana, or seated forward fold. Keeping this pose really active, you can pull the legs towards you while the legs are straight. To make it a little more restorative, you can bend into the knees and round over the spine. Find what feels good for your body, maybe a little bit of both. Then from here, bring the hands back towards the hips. Bring the right foot over the left knee. Starting to take that right hand behind you. Reach the left arm up. Exhale, twist over to the side. Staying light into the right fingers, just finding an easy spinal twist here. Taking the left hand over to the left side, bring the right hand, and get that counter twist here, just pulling back, stretching out the spine the other way, keeping the knee bent, and coming back to center. This time take the knee into the chest, kind of bringing the foot to a hover. Just holding here, keeping the spine long, and then start to straighten out that right leg. A strap can be useful here, maybe you're down here, using it as a hover, or really start to pull that right leg into the chest. Kind of using both the right forearm and both the left hand to help anchor that leg towards you. Just stretching out that hamstring, being gentle in this posture. And then plant the right leg down. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, forward fold or Paschimottanasana. Again, you can choose to be active in this stretch or take a little bit more of a recovery style, bend deep into the knees and round the spine over. Slowly walk the hands back to the hips. Take the left knee or the left foot over the right knee. Bring the left hand behind you. Inhale, reach the right arm up. Exhale, find your twist. Always leading our twists with our rib cage, then our shoulder, and then our head. Staying light into the left fingers. And then take the hands over towards the right, get that counter twist. Really pulling against both hands. Really rotating the spine. Then come back to center. Bring that left foot to the hover. Maybe you choose to stay here, staying active through that right leg, engaging the left toes by flexing through the foot. Or start to straighten out that left leg, kind of cradling the calf into the left forearm, using the right hand to help pull the leg towards you. Getting that deep stretch throughout the hamstring, maybe the calf. As you inhale, find length. Exhale, pull closer to you. And slowly release the left leg down. One more seated forward fold. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Maybe make this your farthest fold yet. Really pulling the body over the thighs, over the knees. Releasing any tension you're still holding in the body. And then walk both hands back. Bring both feet to a hover. Then either grabbing the heels or maybe the backs of the calves. Keeping the spine long here and sitting back onto the sit bones. Reach both feet up. Coming into a more active version of a forward fold here. Pulling the legs in towards you. Inhale, find length in the spine. Exhale, fold deeper. Inhale for length. Exhale for depth. One more. Inhale for length. Exhale for depth. Feeling the body come closer to you as you spend more time in this pose. And slowly release the legs down, planting the feet, sliding the hips towards the heels, and making your way to your back. We'll do a couple bridges here in our practice today. As you inhale, lift up through the hips, keeping the palms flat on the mat or clasping the hands underneath you, helping work the shoulders underneath you, lifting up through the hips, really squeezing the glutes, opening through the whole front body, staying really active. Exhale, release back down, unclasp your hands. Maybe bend the knees into you, releasing any tension on the spine. And then plant the legs back down. As you inhale, lift up for bridge number 2. Again, opening through the whole front body. You can choose to keep the hands planted or clasp the hands underneath you, really working the shoulders open. keeping that energy active throughout the thighs, throughout the glutes, even the feet. Exhale, release back down. Maybe hug the knees into the chest. If wheel is in your practice, you can choose to take wheel pose or find your last bridge of your day here. If you're taking wheel, start to bring the hands behind you, keeping the fingers facing the toes. Lifting up through the elbows, keeping the feet firmly planted, starting to lift through the hips and push up. Lifting up off the head, maybe you straighten through the legs, really sending the hips up. Opening the whole front body, but staying really active throughout the back body to help support this posture. Spending 2 more breaths here. And on your next exhale, slowly lower to your mat. Hug the knees into the chest. Maybe make some circles here. From here, let the left leg go long, hugging the right knee in, and take the right knee over to the left side, finding a spinal twist here. You can use the left hand to assist that right knee down, opening up through the right arm to the side, or just gently placing it on your hips. From here, you can come into cactus pose, starting to bend into the left knee, hugging the left foot towards the right hand and then grabbing it with the right hand. Getting a little bit deeper of a quad stretch as you kind of wring out the spine. Just enjoying the stillness, really feeling this posture in the whole body. And release that grip on the left foot. If you take cactus pose, bring the right knee back to center, hug the left knee in, and then gently let the right leg fall long onto your mat. Bring the left knee over to the right. Finding your spinal twist on the other side. Again, you can choose to take cactus pose, bending into that right knee, grabbing the right foot with the left hand, finding the quad stretch. You can always use a strap here as well. Spending some time in stillness, really enjoying our deeper stretches. And slowly release that grip, let the right leg go long. Bring the left knee into the chest and the right knee into the chest. And massage out the spine. And then making your way to easy seated pose. Coming up as you rock. And bringing the hands to heart center. Taking a couple breaths here to acknowledge what we just did for our bodies and our minds today. Thanking your body for bringing you to your mat and your practice. The light and honor in me honors the light and honor in you. Namaste.